for something completely different, Mr. Champagne. Wonderful, because I think a lot of us think of Chris as a comedian, and he is, okay. But we are addressing him today and listening what he has to say, because he's an author also. First of all, Secret New Orleans, okay. We should point that out, which I've very much enjoyed.
Thank you.
And it's part of a series, isn't it?
Yes, it's a Jean Les Editions. It's a French publishing house, and they do a lot of Secret Paris, Secret Rome, Secret Rio de Janeiro, Secret Tokyo. I was lucky enough to get the Secret New Orleans gig, and I talked Mr. Jean Les on his first trip to New Orleans to do a state for the first time. He'd never done a state before, just city. So he said, "Did I want to do it?" So I said yes, and it ended up being Secret Louisiana. So it's the first state. Since it's a French publishing house, when I was running around the state, I thought it was a good choice because there's so much French history here, and I went all over the place. I traveled 14,000 miles on my old jalopy.
Did you? Wow,
yeah,
really?
I had to constantly go back and get more pictures, because one of the things about the book is that are the photos, one of the features
Lots
of
of
the
photos,
book.
but also
So,
your information about it. And we are going to kind of quickly go around Louisiana tonight with some lesser known items. And the first one, I was really surprised, the first USO
yes.
in DeRitter?
The first
Tell us about
USO
that.
was in DeRitter, and it's still there. Actually, it's not a USO anymore, but it's a community center. And if you walk in, you can see it looks just like it was in those days, with the furniture and all the fixtures. And they have dancers. They have the big dance room, which is, of course, important in a USO.
Of course.
And they have a lot of World War II artifacts as well.
I love that. And then moving on to American Fencing Museum in Shreveport?
Yeah, that was kind of an interesting find. I ran across it right away, but then I couldn't find anything about it. So I thought maybe it wasn't in business anymore. And I called the number, and the gentleman answered. And he's from New York City. He was in L.A. teaching actors how to fence, and I asked him how he got to Shreveport, and he said, "Well, my girlfriend's from Shreveport." And,
that's a good enough reason.
And his name is Andy Shaw. He's really great, and he's a fencing instructor, and in his studio he has all this great memorabilia from the history of fencing in America, and he's really nice. If you go there early in the afternoon before he starts teaching, he'll be glad to talk with you.
I love that. And then on to Point Pleasant in Iberville Parish, the smallest church in the world.
Yeah, the smallest church in the world. It's right on the river, and it's really interesting because it's locked, but it's a harbinger of how America used to be. The key is outside, and anybody can show up and go in and go in and look around and pray or whatever. A gentleman, he did it because his son was going to die, and it was a miracle. He said that his son survived, and he built a chapel.
So promise was
about
made.
100 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. And speaking of matters religious, the Tree of Souls.
The Tree of Souls.
S-O-L-E.
Right, S-O-L-E-S. This is in Scott, Louisiana. Well, it's actually not in Scott, Louisiana. It's just north of Scott.
Osen.
And there are 3 trees that this lady put up, and there's a sign, and it tells you to unburden yourself. And what you do is you throw your shoes up on the tree, or you nail your shoes. So there's like hundreds of shoes. It's really an interesting little out of the way. It's really out in the country, but it's not too far off the interstate, though, so it's easy to go see it and get back on the interstate. But it's really kind of a cool spot.
And you've got 2 book signings coming up Tuesday.
Tuesday at Shop Yard at 8 o'clock on 405 3rd in Chapatoulas, and it's my birthday also, so it's a birthday thing.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. And December 12th, which is a Thursday, which will be at Octavia at 6.
Are you working on any new stand-up shows? Or?
Well, I'm going to be opening for Philip Melançon's Christmas show.
Oh, right. We're going to
Sunday
talk about,
on the 8th. And I have a show called Wait, Wait, Don't Shoot Me. It's about New Orleans and Louisiana politics, and I cover Mr. Landry and Miss Cantrell and others, and that'll be in January sometime at the end, but I'm not quite sure where I'm going to do it yet.
All right. Oh, well, thank you so much. Glad you're
Thank
here.
you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Happy birthday. Have some champagne.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Alan.
So of all the holiday-themed shows that make their way on the stages at this time of year, Elf, the Broadway musical, may be the one that's the most resistant to the Grinch, to Scrooge, and other humbugs. It's a story, of course, of a baby who stows away in Santa's sleigh and unknowingly is transported to the North Pole. And, of course,